What is going on, everyone? You out here? And yes, it's another 1.8, another 1.8T because it's one of my favorite motors. And we're going to be building this. So today is a full teardown on this guy. Believe it or not, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this motor. I just pulled it out of a running car. You saw the motor that we built for it, that beautiful, beautiful motor that we took about 2 months building. This is the new motor that's for the Corrado, actually. So you guys are going to be watching your motor being built for the Corrado giveaway. So we're going to need all your guys' input for this build because we're going to go a little different versus what I want to do. It's going to be more of a subscriber-based build, obviously within our means of being able to afford it, which is very, very important. So, number one, it's for you guys. This motor is 100% for all my subscribers and viewers. There'll be no more DIYs besides Corrado DIYs, guys. From now on, I'm only going to be doing VW Corrado DIYs, aka also Mark II. It's all kind of bundled together, so Mark II and Corrado stuff only from now on. I am done with Mark IVs for now. I am going to invest as much time as possible into the Corrado, so you guys have an awesome car. You guys are going to see all the purchases. You guys are going to see everything that we're going to put into this car. That way you guys can see that I'm not scamming anyone. This car is 100% built for you guys and no one else. So without further ado, we're going to do a full teardown of this beautiful 1.8T. Sorry, buddy, but you did good. You're a 2005, so you're not that old. You're about 15 years old, but still, you did very good. Thank you for your services. Yes, I am thanking this engine. Thank you for your services, and please do a good job for its next owner, because it's going to be one of you guys that watch this channel is going to win this motor. Keep in mind that I'm building another 1.8T for second place winners for this contest. Yes, you heard that right. I'm building another 1.8 for second place winners long block, a full long block 1.8 for 500 to 600 horsepower applications for you guys, no one else. This is the only channel on planet Earth that does this. And why? Because I care about you guys, all right? I care what goes into your brain, and I care how we learn it all together. I'm not here to mess around. I'm here to have fun and learn. Even though I pretty much almost learned almost everything about these motors, but who cares? We're having fun. Okay, I got your comments coming up. Give me just a second, guys.
This is the Region 330 TX Plus.
Ivan, yes. Yes, I will help you. Going good, David? I talk to my cars all the time, man. Why? I think they have a soul. Because they have a purpose in this world. And that purpose is, car. I mean, being what it is. So, yeah. Let's get this engine. So we're going to need a 10 millimeter. All the nuts that were on here were used on the other engine. So I don't have all the bolts on this one. It's only one. So that's going to be really quick to remove the valve cover. And why are we removing the valve cover? Well, we need to remove the head. And to remove the head, you have to remove the valve cover. I need a flathead. Be right back. All right. So I like to pry in this little corner. Same with this one. But not on the actual machine surface. It's like on the edge of it. That way we don't damage anything. Connor, it's going good, man. What 3D printer do I recommend? An Ender 3. Because what I use. But there's a big learning curve, man. So definitely something I would recommend getting, but be prepared to spend a lot of time. 3D printers are not one of those things you can just like, oh, let me get into them. You know, you gotta have a mindset to get into it, but they're worth it. Definitely worth it. So right now I'm just taking off the valve cover gasket. And then right now you guys can see that it's got a pretty gold to it. This is mainly due to the fact whatever oil that Ian's been putting in this car has been doing a good job, giving a nice protective film on it. Looks like oil changes have been pretty constant. So I don't see any major wear marks on the heat marks on the cam so far. We'll see when we get further into it. When we actually take the head off, we'll take the cams off first. Handy dandy trash can. This valve cover has been on there for a while. But it did a good job. You guys can see that there's no oil working its way into the actual spark plugs. Nope. There you guys go. Much better. So these are kind of the splash covers. These guys can just be put away. There's no specific order for these. Just move them out of the way. So the next step is to pretty much get ready to remove the cams. But to do so, we need to take the timing belt off. Go about it two ways. Since I don't care what's going to happen, just yank it off like that. It's trash. So, timing belt is removed. That's so easy. So now we're going to get into removing the cam caps. Remember, one of the big things I keep telling you guys, when you guys start doing a disassembly or taking things apart, remember when you take things apart, they go back in that specific order. It is one of the most important things that you need to learn when tearing apart an engine. Okay, guys? Very important fact. So we're going to take off all the cam caps first. Wish I had an impact gun. I do that in like 10 seconds. That bent my T27. That one might be stripped. Hope not. These are supposed to be easy to come off. So, see what's going on there in a minute. All right, my T27's F. I gotta go grab another one. Be right back. Very weird. Probably got to get new cam bolts. It's not good. But I got them off. So that's a plus. Ah, man. This freaked me out a little bit. Oh, and then we gotta do the external ones right here. All right, so now just unbolt everything, keeping all the bolts in the same spot. Guys, this is very, very important when disassembling a motor or a head. Do not mix your hardware. Not a good thing to do. That way, if you have a problematic bolt, you remember which one it was. Yeah, man, this Corrado, I've been working on it for about 1.5 years now. It's going on, it's almost its 2nd year, and it's not even roadworthy yet. It's got a beautiful paint job, new suspension, whole new brake system, new steering system as well. We're going to be making a custom center console for it. Since the center console was pretty much destroyed and removing it. I'm going to be making custom dash covers for it, custom headliner, full custom interior, trunk. So something you guys are going to have to pay attention to, because this build is now officially 100% underway. And it's, again, I know I sound like a broken record, but it's for you guys, man, not for me. All right, cam caps are all done. Here, got a question here. MK3 VR6 brakes? No, actually, we went to on the Corrado. We went to Audi A100 brakes on the front, so they're dual piston brakes on the front, and then we did GTI rear brakes. That's funny. All right, so cam cap right here, taking them off in that order. That way we do not forget the order things come out in. And then we lay the cams in the same way that we lay out the caps. That way you don't have, how can I say, you don't lose the order that you have them in. So the VVT right here, these bolts can be taken out, unfortunately, because you're gonna have to throw that away. We're not gonna be reusing the cam chain tensioner at all. I always put new cam chain tensioners in all my builds. It's just for safe precaution. Oh no, that sucked. Hopefully nothing got damaged. Whew. Landed on a rag, so we're good. Scary. All right, so now pick up the cams, get them out, get the seals off of there. It's so annoying. There we go. And what I do is I grab it from the middle, pull the chain off. That is one cam. That's the exhaust side. Lay the tensioner down. Again, tensioner is just going to be thrown away. Same with the chain. I always buy new chain and new tensioner on every build. I do. Now, do not take the oil off of it. What VVT cam tensioner do I use? I like using OEM, Miley. Dorman is good. I've had really good luck with Dorman VVT setups. And that's pretty much all I've ever used. Either OEM, Miley, or Dorman. Those have been the only ones I've ever used on these guys. So the next thing is you're going to pull out all your lifters in the same order. So when you lay it down on, I'll show you guys my little setup over here so you guys can see what I mean. Here's my little setup with Mr. Potato Head. And you can see the cam, the exhaust side, and the intake side. Same with the caps, all in the same order. The valve cover is not going to stay there. It's going to go away. Take this out of here. So what I do is I have a tray for my exhaust lifters and I have a tray for my intake ones. And what I do is I keep them in the order that I always face the engine, which is always front to back, not back to front. So the front of the engine to the back of the engine is how we lay all my lifters in rows. So I know that I'm going left to right, but in each cylinder. It's kind of the process that I do it. And you guys will see that, how I do it. So I'll grab cylinder 1, lifter, and then put it right there, the very first lifter in that order, and keep them all together. And then I fill that up with oil and let them be covered in oil so they don't tarnish or rust, depending how long it takes me to build a motor. That's how we do it. So go back over here. And again, we just raise the magnetic and then pick them, just slide them right out. Now, remember we talked about the center valve, the center lifter is always problematic. Let's check that one out here. I'm going to pull out the left one. We don't need to look at that. But we're going to pull out the middle one. This is the one that's always problematic. This gets the most wear out of all the lifters. We're going to clean it off with the rag, just the top of it. What you want to look for, you'll see like there's that center piece right there. Now that piece, you got to put your finger across it really so lightly. If you don't feel like a dimple in it, then you're good. But if you do feel there's like a dip, then that lifter has to be replaced. They're known for failing around 100,000 plus miles, so it's definitely a good thing to replace. They're dirt cheap. They're like 15 bucks a lifter, so why not? You know, you're not gonna hurt the bank doing so. I'm still gonna replace them just because I know it's a lifter that's problematic, and I'm just gonna do it just because that's what I do. I like to replace everything that I can to make sure it's legit. So there's that. Now we're over here on the exhaust side. Big boys. Now we don't pull the retainers out and the springs until the head is off. We don't want to bang the head around and damage anything on the inside of the block. So we got to do that when the head is actually removed off of here. It's just a high risk you don't want to take. Yeah, no, this motor is pretty dang clean. Again, the owner did a really good job in taking care of it. So I'm very, very impressed on this engine. And I'm glad because this is what's going in your guys' Corrado, whoever wins it. So now that all the lifters are removed, we give the head a little cleaning because we don't want to drip oil everywhere on my floor. Now it gets really messy when you guys take these apart because there's a lot of oil obviously inside of here. So you got to factor that in. So we got to get down in here. There's 10 head bolts. They're not reusable. They're one-time use bolts, guys. So please remember that. And what I like to do Oops. Let me find my bit here. Yeah, these are quite tough to remove, just so you guys know. So get a good long ratchet. I'm probably gonna get my breaker bar. Be right back. I'm not working as hard. All right. A lot longer, a lot easier, more leverage. Every time I take these off, I always feel like I'm gonna break it. So sketchy. And then after we take the head off, we're going to inspect it to see how the combustion chamber is actually looking. It's a very important thing to look at when breaking down a motor, is paying attention to certain things. We'll inspect the head gasket. We'll see how well or how everything is looking. That way you guys can see what I mean over time. What's going on, Wheel 25? Woo! A workout. Now I'm going to give you guys a little trick here. This is only for removing head bolts. Do not use this for installing them, okay, guys? This is a number one thing I'm going to tell you right now. Do not use this for installing head bolts, but it works flawlessly for removing them. You can use an 8mm Allen bit for removing the head bolts. It locks in beautifully for removing them. You won't strip them as long as you have a good Allen wrench. They come right off. I know it's kind of crazy to say that, but it is what it is. Will, no, this is not for my white Mark IV. This is for my for your guys' Corrado that you guys can win. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the head off. But to do so, I'm going to make a mess. All this oil, because I'm going to flip the head upside down to drain it. So I got to put a couple rags on top of my shelf and let it absorb all that oil as it drains. Because you don't want to, when you take your engine to the machine shop, you want that motor as dry as possible when they get it. That way they don't try to charge you for extra labor. You know, try not to nickel and dime you. So I'm going to get a couple rags here. I get a piece of cardboard. Give me a second, guys. I think the cardboard underneath the towels will be a smart thing to do. That way, if it does seep through, it'll seep through to the to the cardboard and not into my nice little wood table here. All right. And here we go. You see it's already pouring oil out of it. Now we're going to put it over here. All right, so the head's off. That's pretty quick. Where are we at? 32 minutes in. Okay, so we're going to get up and close onto the head. To the bottom end of the block. This is very important for you guys to see and inspect whenever you guys build a motor, because you want to address anything if you see it. And I'll do my best to explain things when I show it to you. Okay. There we go. All right. I'm going to use my screwdriver as a pointer. Okay. So I got a comment here. Oh, okay. Never mind. Okay, so the head gasket is officially untouched. Okay, guys. This is dirt. Now, head gasket is 100% OEM because this is a multi-layer gasket. So you'll know that it's never been removed because this is a factory gasket. There's no markings on here besides the factory stuff. So I know for a fact this head has never been removed. Another indicator of that is that I have the on the side of this block, it has the factory barcode sticker. So that's another indicator that this engine's never been disassembled, because if they disassembled, they would have cleaned that off. So that's number one, your first pointer there. There's oil in here because of the head, not because there's something bad. But the carbon on this is super minimal, guys. I kid you not. There's very minimal carbon buildup on these pistons, which is a very, very good sign. A very good wear and a clean combustion. Another thing is the sidewalls. I can still see the factory crosshatch. And, oh, man, it's beautiful. Let me see if I can show you guys. Let me get some lighting in here. Give me a second, all right? All right, so I'm going to get you guys a little bit closer. So bear with me. We're going to look at this right here. And hopefully you guys can see that. And it's hard to see, but it's very important when you look at these cylinder walls to look for the factory crosshatch, which means is when they machined it, the piston rings were always properly lubricated. Combustion was always good. This car never ran dry. And you can see the combustion chamber right here where you see the carbon buildup. That's 100% normal because that's during your power stroke. So it's very, very nice. I'm very happy in this condition of this motor right off the bat. So that's very, very cool. Yeah, the honing. Isaiah, you never want to just drop in rods. You still want to go take the block and have it honed again. Whenever you put brand new piston rings in a block, you want the cylinder walls to have a good new hone in them with the new crosshatch, is what we call it, pattern. That way the rings will seat correctly and seal correctly to the block. A lot of, excuse me, but cheap mechanics will check and see if the crosshatch is legit. If it is, they just dump in new rings and rods and call it a build, and that's where your problems can come in a lot sooner than later. So not a good thing to do. You really want to get the head decked, and I can show you why right off the bat. Just taking this off. I mean, how can you put a new head gasket on this? It's gross. Now that you took the head gasket off, the leveling is completely off. Who knows if this engine ever ran hot? Because whenever an engine gets hot, it does warp. It'll warp 1,000th of an inch or less than that, but it is noticeable over time, and it's a very, very important thing to understand when you're taking an engine apart and then you're rebuilding it. No matter what, you have to go in there, have it honed, minimal, at least honed. I would also probably have them check for out of roundness. Make sure the cylinders are not out of round. That's number 2. And obviously the most important part is having the head decked and the block decked, meaning they cut a piece of the surface off to make it look like a machine surface. So when you put a new gasket on, it's what we call titties, man. Titties, yeah. Okay. These are very, very important things that you need to understand when tearing down and rebuilding an engine correctly. There's always the cheap way of doing it, which was what you said, just dump some rings into the rods and call it a day. I mean, yeah, it'll work. No one says it won't work. I'm not going to say it's going to work for a long time. I mean, you'd be lucky if you get a year out of that motor. Redondo Beach, that is correct. However, the manufacturer actually compensates for that. If you actually go look on your head and you look on the block, there's actually markings on the side for minimum cut. So the manufacturer actually designs these blocks, or actually all manufacturers designs these engines for that reason. You're allowed to lose anywhere from 2 to 3 thousandths of an inch of the head decked, and still keep factory combustion or compression. It doesn't drop it by very much, where the point where the car actually has a different reaction. Obviously, when you deck it, you're increasing compression, so you're actually going to be making more compression on here. But again, for that comment, Redondo, it's extremely rare that your compression will change drastically, and I mean extremely rare. If this head was F, I mean, if this block was completely F, where they cut like 6,000ths of an inch to make this thing flat again, then yeah, I mean, it'd probably change something. But in all the engines that I've ever built, not one has ever had a problem with that. Again, you are accurate on your comment, but it's not true for sure overall. Redondo, never do that. Never scrub this ever. That's such bad advice. I'm sorry, but that's very, very bad advice to do that, to scuff the head and the block. That head gasket will never seal properly, and even worse, if you're making high horsepower, I mean, you're asking for real problems, man. That's not good information. Very, very bad advice for that, man. I'm sorry, but I would never suggest that to anybody. No, 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 no. Let's see. You don't have to. Yeah, I don't have a straight edge with me, unfortunately. That's all for the machine shop to do. I'm going to be taking off all the timing components over here on the right. I mean on the left, and then we're going to flip this upside down and start disassembling the bottom end of the block. So we'll get to that, but I'm going to do all the timing components right now. No, you don't. You don't want to use a razor. You can't. You cannot scrape this surface and assume that your head gasket will seal. I mean, if you're trying to be an a-hole and just trying to get the engine up and going and just send it, as what you guys would say, then do it by all means. But it will never survive high horsepower applications. It will never. I'm sorry. And that's just to be honest with you. You can never get this cut. You can't make this surface machine mirror finish for a head gasket to go on. It's just one of those things you just can't do it by yourself unless you have your own machine shop. It's just not good advice, guys. For Isaiah, hold on. For Redondo, we're thinking about 300. We're thinking about 400 horsepower on this one for the Corrado. Since the Corrado is very light, we're gonna do about 350 to 400 horses on this motor. We're going with the big turbo. Give me a second. I'll show that to you. We're going to be using a Garrett T3 style turbo. Beautiful, beautiful Garrett turbo right here. Twin scroll, so this thing will spool up pretty nicely. Definitely not going to be doing an F21, so we're definitely going to be using a big boy here, not a tiny little turbo. This is for you guys. This is for the Corrado, okay? I was considering doing an AEB head. I do have a spare AEB head, but that's going to be for my my wife's car. I really wanted to put it on this one. So what we're going to end up doing with the factory AWP head, we're going to have it ported and polished for extra flow and performance for you guys. So it's something that I'm going to have the machine shop do for us. So that's going to be a big plus. Redondo Beach, that is correct. The Corrado already has big brakes. We upgraded from the G60 brakes to Audi A100 brakes. Those are dual piston brakes, huge. From the standard, I believe, 100 millimeter, we went up to 132 millimeters on the Corrado on the front, and then we upgraded the rear brakes to full-on performance brakes on the rear. So yes, the car already has a fully upgraded drivetrain and suspension on the Corrado. It's also going to have a roll cage. Has front and rear 21 or 22 millimeter sway bars. It's also going to have a lot of extra goodies for you guys. So I already thought of already ahead of this. All that's already done. Again, for the Corrado, it's going to be fun. Whoever wins this, the transmission is going to be a Mark IV O2J transmission. So it's going to be a 5-speed. We're going to dump a stage 2 clutch because stage 3 is not very drivable. We're going to do a light and flywheel. We're probably going to do a 15-pounder. So you will have chatter. We're going to dump, let's see, for the probably a limited slip differential. Let's see what else we're going to do. We're probably going to have electronic boost control so you guys can keep the boost under control for daily and then up it for having fun. We're probably going to dump a bunch of other fun goodies, but again, that's all during this build. Yes, we are upgrading the cooling to a VR6 from the factory G6C radiator. Yeah, it's actually upgraded to the VR6 double row radiator. We're running two slim high performance fans. It's going to have a custom front mount intercooler, and we're still thinking if it's going to be front mount or we're going to do a water to air intercooler. I'm actually really pushing towards the water to air intercooler setup because it's actually cheaper, believe it or not, to do. So I might go that route. I'm not sure yet. It just really matters how we want the engine bay to look. Redondo, don't worry about passing California emissions. I don't worry about that anymore. So don't worry about it. That's for me to know, and that's it. The car will pass emissions my way. Put it that way. Correct, Vin. The F23 is one of my favorite turbos for stock setups. They're really, really fun turbos. They make a lot of power. They can make up to 280 to almost 300 ponies without pushing the turbo too hard. Oh, no, wait, F21. I'm thinking about the F23. Sorry. F21 makes about 240 to 260 horsepower. You can get up to 280 pushing the crap out of it. But I had an F23, actually, Vin, on my first. The next thing, actually, before we flip it down, we're going to take off the oil cooler housing and the timing components, okay? I keep getting distracted. Oh, nice, Vin. F23 is legit. It's a fun turbo to have. Makes a lot of power. But in comparison to the F21, man, the F23 is a whole other monster in performance. Crap. Oil filter has to come off. That's going to make a mess. I have to do that last. It's going to make a lot of mess. Let's see here. Now, the best way to clean an engine, if you're going to go get it worked on, just have the machine shop hot tank it. That's honestly the best way to have this engine cleaned before you want to start. Maybe you want to start prepping it for paint. You definitely want the engine hot tanked. It's one of my, it's the easiest way to get the engine cleaned up. Yeah, be safe. The F23 does make a lot of torque. It is notorious. I recommend running a manual boost controller on those turbos. Look at this. Brand new water pump. Jeez, look at that. Super clean. They just did the timing job on this. Trash can. I'm not going to reuse the parts, so it was right in the trash. I'm putting everything new on this for you guys, so make sure you understand that. I'm not cheaping out on this build at all. Exactly. Do you want it, Redondo? I'll give it to you. They're brand spanking new. I mean, I have no use for them. If you want, tensioner is good. It's brand spanking new, and the water pump. If you want them, I'll let you have them. I'm not just gonna throw them away, dude. I have no use for them. If you really do, just pay for the shipping, and I'll ship them to you. I don't care for it, man. All right, okay, let's go back in the trash can. I don't need these parts. So this guy, I'm not taking them back out. They're staying there. This guy. So I'm gonna show you guys a trick on how to take off the crank bolt. It's a really easy trick without putting too much effort into it, guys. So we're gonna rotate this engine around. This guy Redondo, man, he's a funny guy. Yeah, man, this is funny. And oh, other way around. Ooh, a lot of water. Oh, it's getting on my webcam cable. Oh. Messy, messy, messy. All right. There's all that oil dripping out. Perfect. Now it's going to catch it. I'll be able to drain it later. All right. Yes, on this engine, we might be upgrading to 034 Motorsports fluid dampener. It might be an option. It all depends on when we start balancing the motor to see how off it is. If it's really off, we might do that. Don't know yet. Redondo, did you want the oil filter? Since you want the used water pump? It's right there. Do you want the oil filter, man? I'll ship it to you too, free. It sucks. I just painted this oil pan, by the way. This is the one that was going on the other motor, but my friend Ian, his engine, since it's a 2005 and newer, has a hybrid pan from the factory. So I put that on there instead, and then going to keep it on this one. I might upgrade this one to a hybrid oil pan. What do you guys think? You guys want that on the Corrado, hybrid oil pan? Or just keep this pan on there and build a really cool skid plate instead? What do you guys think? Cool skid plate or just a nice oil pan? Oh man, Banging's on here. What's going on, Banging? Just noticed you. All right. Isaiah says hybrid. I say hybrid. So I guess we're going to dump a hybrid pen on here. All right. As per request from my viewers, I'm going to do it. I'm going to order a hybrid oil pen, a brand new pen for this engine. Okay, for you guys, just for you guys, for this Corrado. All right. Now, do you guys want polished parts in the engine bay, or really, really nice powder-coated parts in the engine bay? That is an option. I'm giving you guys all these choices for your build, for this build. So I definitely want your guys' input for this engine. So, and I will make it happen. I'm not going to 24 karat anything. That's not realistic. This guy. Now, this is the one thing that bugs the crud out of me whenever I see oil pan's been replaced. And the way I can tell is that there's like a gob of RTV in here. That bugs the crud out of me when I see that. Okay. Well, whatever. So I'm going to have to take off these, the rear main seal from here. And then when I pull the crank out, I'll pop it out as I go out. I got to go get my sandwich bags. It's time for sandwich bags. For Spraggins, whatever his name is, that means your pants stripped, buddy. That thing is full on stripped. Here's the oil pan. You'll see, here's your bolt right there. If you look on the inside, it's just threaded all the way through the inside of the body. There's no nut on the inside of that. You have a stripped pan, man. You're ready for a new pan, or have someone helicoil it for you. But it might leak, so I'd get a new pan. But if you're strapped for cash, then have it helicoiled. And how can you get it off? Take the oil pan off, actually. And what you're gonna do is when you take the oil pan off, get an impact gun and then like push it as you break it loose at the same time. And that's kind of weird, but yeah, that's how you have to do it. All right, so now we got to take off the oil pickup, the oil pump, this little sump here. This little guy is kind of like what they call airflow or the breather. What this allows is just aerates the system inside the car. That way you don't have, aerates the pan. I don't know. I forgot the exact purpose for this plastic thing. If you guys are there, please chime in and tell me what this actually does. Because I really don't know what it does, but I always make sure I don't damage it when I take it off. Because it's plastic, and it's literally held together by one bolt. It's hilarious. I'll be right back, guys. I got to go get sandwich bags. Got to label stuff. All right. Isn't that the filter of some sort? No, it's not a filter. Guides the oil to the pump pickup. I don't think so, because the pump pickup is right here, and the oil it just sits in a pan. I don't think it does that. The pickup itself has a screen, not a filter. Sandwich bags. Best thing in the world for keeping stuff organized. 1, 2. Now these are for the timing bolts. Okay, all done. Next is oil pan. Sharpie and a baggie. All right. So we're going to get our handy dandy 10 millimeter. And we're going to be taking, we got to take that off. So we're going to take this cover off really quick. Because, hold on, I got a big comment here. For Angel Flores, I agree. We need to do a DIY for a full step-by-step guide to oh my god, I can't speak right now, to shave an engine bay. I agree, but shave engine bays are extremely time consuming. That's why I couldn't do the one I wanted, because I had to go back to work. Okay, so now that's off. So what you're going to do next, you're going to jam a piece of wood in here. Literally, just jam a piece of wood inside the crank inside of here. Something like that. Yeah. Okay, and then we're going to crank the engine over and get my bigger breaker bar, and we're going to get that bolt off. The factory crank bolt is a 19 millimeter 12 point socket. So be forewarned, it's a B to get off. That's why I always keep wood around. Oh, it's all over the wall. Clean that up in just a second. This won't damage the engine, just the wood. Yep, I'm going the right way. This is the part I hate because it's not on here that easy. It's on there pretty pretty snug. I already soaked it for a while in PB Blaster. I think it's on there. I got my torch. Be right back. This sucker up. Yeah, no, you gotta always use a torch. I've always have a torch handy. Definitely helps, especially when they get rusty on here. Yeah, no, I turned off my printers today, so you guys can hear me. I wanted them off today, so me and you guys can have a nice, clear conversation. So yes, good eye. For Redondo, I don't have a harmonic balancer bolted on here. Just so you guys know. Just so you know, Redondo, the harmonic balance is huge. This is just the gear. There we go. It's off. Woo, it's hot. A little heat makes a huge difference. And soaking it with PB Blaster for like 10 hours too. I'm not going to be using this bolt for reinstalling, buddy. Yes, I could have used an impact, but it would have made a lot of noise and my family's sleeping. So, yeah, it's not going to happen. Don't want to bother my family if they're sleeping. Be right back and get a couple rags. I would love a soundproof garage. That'd be super cool. But no, I don't have a soundproof garage. I have a normal garage. Actually, a really tiny garage. It doesn't even fit a car, just so you guys know. Just gotta clean up my mess. All right. I forgot I had these big old rags here, so that'll keep my my work area a lot cleaner. So these cam gear bolts, this right here, these are the cam gear bolts. These are one-time use. They're stretch bolts. These are never allowed to be reinstalled, just so you guys know. Okay. Never reinstall these bolts. Again, they're stretch. The only ones that you can reinstall are the ones from ARP because they're designed for that. They're designed to be removed and reinstalled. But these are stretch bolts. These are actually considered one-time use bolts. Cannot reuse them. Fun fact about that bolt pretty much goes on almost every single 1.8 from around 1986 to I think the not current, to like 2010, 2013, 2.0Ts. That bolt is the same one for all of those engines. Just a cool fact about that. All right. And this is what we had to remove. This is the crank gear. Okay. Got to remove that. That sucker's hot, so I'm leaving it over there. So with that gear removed, we can actually remove the front main seal because that's required to come off, and the rear main seal over here, so we can pull the crank out. So the front main seal is held together with a 10 millimeter. That's pretty much it. There's not really much special on here. There's 6 of them. Okay, one thing you guys have to know is that the seal that it has is not reusable. Okay, so you guys have to replace that seal that's on the front of this part. And I'll show that to you guys. I call it a front main seal because this is the front of the engine. Its actual name is called a crank seal. And they are not known for leaking. They're very, very rare that seal leaks in its lifetime of this motor. Same with the rear main seal. The rear main seal only leaks. I've only seen one rear main seal leak in my life, and it was because someone decided to replace it when it wasn't leaking. And it's one of those parts that you just don't touch. You just leave it alone. If it ain't leaking, just leave it alone. Just don't bother. Don't waste your time or your money to replace it. And then what we do is that we pry it using the oil pump outward. Confirm I have all the bolts removed. Yep. Maybe use like that sucker's on there. Let's see. All right, here we go. I was heating something up. Why?
It's all the way in the living room.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh wow. It wasn't burning though.
It smells like a fire, like a candle fire.
What is this? It smells of a torch. All right, so this is your front main seal, also known as the crank seal, and that's what you have to replace when you guys pull this out. Just leave it on its side over here, out of the way, out of sight, out of mind for a while. The next thing is we're going to remove the pump. It's only 3 bolts. Keep them together, just like that. And they're all 10 millimeter. So we're gonna mic the oil pump, make sure the oil pump is within specifications when we get back to rebuilding this motor. So if the oil pump is still within its wear parameters, we're gonna reuse the oil pump. Pretty simple. This part that I'm removing is the oil pump tensioner. You cannot reuse these. These are one-time use parts. They're super cheap. They're like 10, 15 bucks. Just replace it. It's this piece right here. This is what tensions the oil pump chain. Replace it. You guys can see there's grooves in it. It's not something you want to reuse, okay? So once that is removed, should give you some little bit of slop here. Pull this chain off. There we go. And then what you have to, where is it? Oh, well, you got to take this cover off for the pickup, and then you go inside here, you grab a feeler gauge, and you mic the inside of that. Check for clearance. If it's still within the factory specifications, you can reuse this pump, okay? Put that down here, out of sight, out of mind. All right, I'm gonna go grab my 10 millimeter ratchet. Actually, no, wrench, so I can take off the rear main seal. Be right back. What's up, George Pacheco? How you doing, buddy? Taking bets. I got 2 of them. I officially have like 7 10 millimeters for this reason, because you lose them so often. This is so time consuming. This is a stupid engine stand. I should have removed the rear main seal before I put it on the engine stand. This would have been a smarter thing to do. So there you go. There's a tip for you guys. Before you put an engine on the engine stand, remove the rear main seal. Then you gotta try to put your little fingers in there. Try to thread them out by hand. Now, we're not going to disassemble the head today. Huh. That's a really neat idea. Now we're down to the last 3 bolts for the rear main seal here. Now, one thing you guys should know about all these little bolts, they only go on at 11 foot-pounds, which is very, very little torque, but that's all you need, man. Pretty crazy. All right, those are all done. I'm going to grab my little flathead here and pry it off. Move my tools back where they belong over here. And then you cannot reuse rear main seals as well, guys. They're one-time use parts, so be wary of that. Yeah, I'll leave that one there alone, but that's trash. He actually broke. All right, now we're down to the crank. So what you want to remove first are the pistons, and then you want to remove the crank last. And the reason why I want to say that is because theoretically you can take off all the main caps and pull the crank out with the pistons and you're good. But you don't want to do that. You don't want to damage anything. So we're going to go from here right to left right now. Actually, we're actually going to go in the middle because there's 2 right there in the middle that we have to get to. I got to clear a spot for them. Give me a second here. Gotta use my breaker bar for this one. Big boy. So factory rods use 6-sided Torx to remove them. Just so you guys know. Be right back. I gotta grab a socket for that. There it is. right. Leverage. So nice. It's very nice. Let's see here. Found oil under my combi. Not sure if half moon or VVT gasket. Clean it off, dude. Get some brake cleaner. Clean off that whole area with some brake cleaner, and then drive it, and then see where it leaks. That's the easiest way to find the leak. I'm gonna try to break them all off. So. Since we're not going to be using factory rods, who cares if they get damaged or not? I don't care. It's just the pistons I care for. Stock Mark IV pistons, AWP to be exact, are good for 500 horsepower. Pistons. Okay. Angel, yo, 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 what's going on? The rods on a stock Mark IV are good for nothing. They're good for up to 300 pounds of torque, put it that way. Now, I'm removing all the rod bolts. When you do this, the pistons will not fall down, just so you guys know. How hard it is to swap rods in a car? You have to disassemble the whole engine, man. You have to pretty much build it from scratch. There's no other way to just pull a rod out and then pop it back in. There's just no way of doing that. It's just not possible. Now, we're going to inspect here. We're going to inspect a rod bearing. Show you guys, it's actually not bad. Yeah, there's more right there.
But I don't like that. That's why.
Okay. A little bit. We're almost done anyways. So you guys can see here's the rod bearing. And it's got some good wear. I mean, for a 100,000+ mile car, not too shabby. There's no hot marks, so you don't see like a rainbow affecting. So that means this rod bearing has always been getting good oil changes. No, not that one, the yellow one. So that's a good thing to look at. I mean, these are garbage, but we're going to toss them. But I just want to show you guys that. That's cylinder number 3. Here's cylinder number 2. Four. Yeah, it's all going in the trash. How hard is it to do it in the car? Pretty hard. Way harder than doing it the way that I do it, you know. because now you have to like you got to do things with finesse and try to figure out how to do it inside a car versus it on an engine stand. I don't even know how to begin to do that because that just sounds like way too much work. Banging. All right, so with our handy dandy extension here, we're just gonna pop out cylinder. Let's see, where are we? Number 1. Let's see here. There we go. There's piston number 1. Voila. Remember the order that you took these apart in. Yes, this is an AWP engine. For a short shifter, Angel, definitely recommend just getting the TT short shifter. That drops your throw by 30%, and it's pretty noticeable. That's what I use, or the New Speed short shifter. I love it. Now, that's the one that goes on the transmission. If you're trying to do it inside the engine bay, it's a lot more work because you got to drop your exhaust to do it. Yes, we are using an O2J trans for this setup. This is for the Corrado. We're definitely going to try to get a limited slip into it as well. We'll try. Depends on my money, but yes, it's what I want to do. Yeah, Diesel Geek's legit. That's a good short shifter, man. Definitely a good choice. I keep forgetting about those guys. They make a really good short shifter. Ah, come on. Jeez, these pistons. There you go. What's going on, 3 Bowman? Hey, you are late, actually. We're almost done tearing apart this engine. I'm down to the crank. Gotta make space for the crank. Just a second, guys. Perfect. All right. Gotta find the bolt. I gotta find that size. Be right back. That's funny, banging. Good aftermarket clutch for around 250, 285 par. Do the I think there's a ACT or South Bend. Make a good clutch for that. Around 500, 600 bucks. Very, very good, nice, well-rounded clutch for that type of performance. I think it's their stage 1 or their stage 2. I can't remember. I'm gonna get a shallow 16 right now for the 2 back ones. Well, a thin wall 16. There we go. Be right back. What difference would one see going from a dual mass to single mass like flywheel banging? The big difference is pretty much revving. Your rev definitely your rev improves a lot, and you get a lot of more vibration. The whole point of going to single mass is literally for faster RPM. That's it. There's no actual performance gains besides revving faster. Oh, man. That's not good. I want that to strip. Yeah, it does cause a little bit more vibration in the car. Dual mass is more for drivability. It's easier to engage the clutch with the dual mass than it is with a single mass. When you get into really, really high horsepower applications, you actually want to go to a dual mass setup. There's actually a benefit from that. So obviously, you want to go to a high performance dual mass, not just a factory style. There's different applications. Tomorrow, if I have some extra time, I'll do the disassembly of the head with you guys tomorrow. I got a lot of work to do on that Jetta, so I don't know how I'm going to feel. Right now, my back is starting to hurt a little bit. Got my old man problems kicking in. So I don't know how long I'm going to last right now. At idle, you're going to get chatter, what we call flywheel chatter. You won't get vibration. You just get more chatter. You will get vibration, though, and higher RPMs. But the benefit, again, to going to lightweight flywheel is strength, number one, and the ability to rev up a lot higher RPMs and to hold power at a higher RPM. That's literally all the benefits of a lightened flywheel is. I mean, you can go all the way down. I think the 7 pounds is the lightest flywheel you can get for a Mark IV. And it's pretty gnarly, just to give you the heads up on one of those. Your engine literally revs immediately. It's pretty cool. But again, I don't recommend them. Not for stock applications. Or even for like mild horsepower. It's when you get into big power. All right, so main bearing 1 out. Main bearing 2. And we're going to inspect the main bearings too to look for wear. This is main bearing number 4. Another thing you guys need to know about the main bearing bolts, they're one-time use. You cannot reuse these. Doesn't it make it difficult at idle with a flywheel that light? Yes, it does. That's why if you do have it, you got to get your car tuned for a higher idle. And it grabs a lot faster, so you need to learn how to drive a car with that light of a flywheel. I remember I had one of my early builds. I had a 7-pound flywheel with a 6-puck clutch. Loved how fast it grabbed and revved, but it sucked driving it so bad. Definitely not for daily use. I'll tell you that right now. This is the harder one to get out. There we go. All right, so this one, you gotta pay attention to this middle one. This one has 2 sets of thrust washers only on top. Okay, it did not have the lower thrust washers installed. Okay, very important to remember that, guys. These thrust washers are not reusable. But this motor came with only top thrust washers, not lower thrust washers. The one that I built for Ian actually had top and bottom thrust washers from the factory. So you have to install top and bottom thrust washers to keep the end play correct. So this one only had the top one, so you don't need to add the top and bottoms. This is a later model style, so you'll see these thrust washers go much further out. That's why you don't need lower ones. Some thrust washers only go halfway, other ones go all the way down. Okay. So now the crank is 100% free of all stuff. So I'm going to grab it, pick it up, and out. All right. That's a full disassembly of a 1.8T, man. Hope you guys enjoyed that with me. The head's going to be next tomorrow. That's another job and a half. But yeah, we did it together. And yeah, it wasn't that bad. Not that bad at all. What's the crank weight? I don't know the weight of the crank. It's pretty heavy, though. It's probably around 30 to 40 pounds easily. Let me turn you guys around here. Oh, I got to sit down. My old man back is hurting. Let's see here. All right, hold on. Whew. The oil jets are gonna pop out afterwards tonight. I mean tomorrow. It's no big deal right now. Long day. But thank you everyone for tuning in. I definitely appreciate you guys watching with me, working with me, building with me. It's been a very long day. I mean, I put a 6-speed transmission on, put it in the Mark IV. I'm actually going to start filming how to wire tuck the passenger side for you guys, okay? I know you guys asked for that, so I'm going to do that for you guys. I'm not going to wire tuck the driver's side due to the fact that he still has a battery in there, so I can't do much in that. But that will be for future us problems. But I definitely had a lot of fun. I love tearing down these motors. They're so much fun. It makes me forget about my back pain, makes me forget about my worries and what's going on in, my daily life. But it's fun. We're going to finish the disassembly again, like I said, by tomorrow or a day after. I'm not really rushing it. Once it's fully disassembled, we're going to drop off the head and the block to go get hot tanked, decked, and then we're going to start ordering all the parts. Now, remember what I said earlier at the beginning of the live stream. I'm building this car for you guys. Okay? Nice, Nani. Nice to hear that. So, do you guys already wanted the hybrid oil pan? Check. I'm going to order that for you guys. So, I want to know what else you guys want. What I'm going to put brand new in the car is new lifters. I mean, new SuperTech valves, intake and exhaust. Did you guys want me to port and polish the head? I mean, we can definitely do that. Or did you guys want me to go find an AEB head and do an AEB head build on this car? I mean, they're identical. It's just a bigger port head. I don't know what you guys want to get into part-wise, but that will be something you guys want. Do you guys want the valve cover polished, or should we go and get everything like a color match themed in the engine bay, or other ideas? I mean, this is stuff that you guys need to think about. We're gonna start making a part list this week. We're going to start making a part list of all the goodies you guys want in this Corrado. I already got a stereo system. Have a good night, sir. I already got a part list for a stereo system. We're going to be putting a nice little stereo system in there. Trying to think what else is there. I got other ideas, but I got to figure out what wheels to get, something affordable. I don't have a lot of money, so I'm trying to make sense of what you guys want. All the really important stuff, safety-wise, we're going to put a half roll cage in it. We got bigger brakes on the front and the rear, upgraded suspension, upgraded front and rear sway bars, all new bushings, all new hardware, all new brake lines, brand new brake master cylinder, brake master booster, brake booster, all brand new. We have an upgraded clutch system. We're full hydraulic on this car. We're going to use an O2J transmission. I'm thinking about 3-point harness. 4 points a little overkill for this car. I'm trying to figure out what brand to go with interior. Do you guys want to go Sparco? I'm not. Recaro's a little overpriced for me right now, so I'm thinking about Sparco, Corbeau, or Cobra for seats and stuff. No, retail florist. Dumping the battery in the back is super easy. It can be done in 2 hours. You just got to make sure you have all the parts. I actually have a DIY on my channel for that, just so you guys know. I have a full DIY on how to relocate the battery in the trunk. It's super, super easy. But it's not cheap. Not cheap, that's for sure. Trying to think here. What else is there? What else is there? Yeah, I mean, I decided the color and the color scheme. But again, I want you guys to decide on everything else. I've already decided on what turbo, just because it was a good deal. Yeah, that's a good idea. Definitely a good idea, Baggett. Oh man, excuse me. So, if you guys have questions or ideas for this Corrado, please, now is a time to speak your opinion, your thoughts, your ideas, because once it's done, I'm not going to undo it. I'm not going to go, oh, no, this is a better idea. No. We're going to buy it, and that's it. So if you guys don't like it, it's 100% your fault, not mine. So definitely take your time and think about what you guys want in this Corrado, because as I make it or build it or buy it, it's a one-time deal, no refunds. So if you guys don't like the car you built, sorry. I did all the wrenching. You guys made all the choices. Again, this is the whole purpose of this car is to build a really tight community, because I think your guys' ideas, opinions, and just your, what's the word, dedication to this channel and watching it matters a lot to me. You guys don't understand how much it matters to me. I mean, you guys are my kind of like my medication to, you know, relieve all my stress throughout the day, throughout my life. So this matters a lot to me, guys. It's good medication for me. It's a good way to relieve my stress and just have a good time. You know, my wife has got her hands full with the kids, and I'm back at work. I'm back at work again. So doing this and working is working 2 full-time jobs, guys. So when you guys ask for DIYs, I definitely do my best to get DIYs done. Greetings from Chicago. Thanks for all the vids. They've been super helpful during my MK4 ownership. Appreciate all the hard work. Not a problem, Mr. Eddie Dope. Thumbs up to you, buddy. Hey, been here since your first engine removal DIY. Hell yeah, Angel. That's super cool. Thank you for that dedication, sir. So, that being said, thank you for watching this teardown with me, or tuning into this teardown. Definitely quicker than I thought. Less than 2 hours. Not bad. Not bad at all. Takes a lot longer to build them. All right. Thank you. And again, you see another dubber on the road, don't be afraid to give them a thumbs up, peace sign, because we're all enthusiasts here. We all love the same car and brand. We all have the same likes and dislikes, believe me. Okay? And as always, here at Pinche House Garage, we're going to break, we're going to fix, and we're going to repeat, because that's what we do. All right? That's what we do together as a family, as pretty much as a community, as anything you guys want to call it. It is what we do. All right. Thank you. Have a wonderful night and get some sleep. Jeez. And all you other guys on the other side of the world, have a good day and work hard, because that's all we got to do right now, man. Just work hard through this COVID stuff. All right. Good night y que les vaya bien, muy bien. Buenas noches a todos mis amigos de allá de México y aquí también en los Estados Unidos. Que tengan buenas noches y buenos días. Con mucho cariño y amor de mi parte de mi familia a ustedes. Aquí estoy para ayudarles y servirles a usted también. Hablo español, so también les puedo ayudar, ¿ok? Muchas gracias y que les vaya bien. Peace out. Japan.